Hello, I'm Howard Rubin. You may be familiar with my work in technology economics, both as an academic and as a practicing professional. I'm here today to talk about the patterns I've observed in the world of technology economics and sort of what I consider to be the crisis of technology and value. A lot of this is stimulated by the ideas that I put forth at the TBM Summit, the Technology Business Management Summit in November. But let me back up a little bit. See, I truly believe we're in a technology economy. And you might say, what's this man talking about? I also believe that the world needs technology economists, and I'll get to that too. But in fact, the key point is we have gone from an industrial economy, and just look at the markets in the 1800s. None of us are old that, not enough to deal with that, even with me. But in fact, we're growing with railroads. The early 1900s were automotive and airplanes, and we got up even to the 1970s. It was oil and energy. But watch the markets every day. What moves the world's economy? What's in the news every day? Right now, it's AI. It'll be quantum after that. It'll be cloud before that and everything else. So I've been trying to understand the creation of value through the use of technology. And I have a suitably weird background in that I have a doctorate in computer science, and actually it's called marine microbial ecology and oceanography and stuff like that. And when you're in natural science, you look at patterns. So I decided to explore the patterns of the technology economy. And again, when we talk about technology economics, you might say, so what the heck is different between that and classical economics? Well, classical economics looks at supply and demand and allocation of resources. If you go to an IT organization, they're focusing on IT finance, which is absolutely critical. But who is managing the linkage between technology and how does value manifest itself? And that's what a technology economist does. They look at the input in technology and the implementations and the output in terms of value. And value to business might be in terms of margin and net promoter score, a whole bunch of other factors, shareholder value. In the public sector, that might be impact on health, education, and welfare. So anyway, stimulated by an invitation I had to appear at the Technology Business Management Summit in Miami. That was back in November. I was asked to speak about technology and value. So I have 30 years of data at least collected. In my 30 years of data, I cover about 3,000 companies in 20 sectors. So I decided to look at the for-profit sector and look at patterns. So you say, so what is all this about? So imagine you draw a timeline, and that particular timeline has going back into the 1990s when we have the internet, then we end up having beyond the internet, we start getting into e-commerce. Then after e-commerce, we come into things like cloud, and then we'll come up all the way, we'll jump to AI and jump to quantum. So imagine you draw this big x-axis like that. And then on top of that, you start to take a particular business parameter. And my expectation was that I would see inflection. So I would see a big change when we started the internet and then e-commerce and even cloud. We start to see a change in margin or some of the other business parameters. Well, guess what? And when you do that overlay, it's all flat line. There has been no significant difference across this average large sample size. And I use the word average. There are outliers that broke away from this, but very few. And average performance in 2025 was actually worse in most businesses than it was in the early 1990s. So there were no inflection points. So I said that was quite a surprise, although I was looking for something out there in terms of this experiment, because I'm looking at patterns, and this is about patterns. It's not about statistics, because that's what happens in natural science. I mean, Darwin did not use statistics in the Galapagos to figure out what's going on. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the patterns of technology and value production. So digging underneath that, it seemed pretty clear to me, because they also have data on technology implementation, and sort of Al Gore-like, a whole bunch of inconvenient truths become obvious. So inconvenient truth number one is really, quite simply, that implementing technology does not ensure value. Implementation number two has putting technology in place, but the inconvenient truth is why are you putting it in place? Are you doing it because someone heard about it on the news? You're bored of saying, why aren't you doing this about cloud or stuff like that? In fact, the other inconvenient truth is that technology is not a fashion statement. So the real issue really becomes, what do you do to get value? And in fact, what are the other inconvenient truths associated with technology and technology economics? And this is a launch of the series on our website, techeconomists.com. And the series is going to cover the various inconvenient truths. And they're going to start exploring this. And if you go to the website, you'll start to see the whole program. And I'm leaning over here because there's a whole list of the inconvenient truths we're going to start to deal with. I mean, the inconvenient truths even are just about AI itself and the fact and fiction about layoffs that are occurring because of AI, or that The ROI of AI is high. This is not about anti-AI. This is about the truth. And there are other interesting things here, like even tech spend per employee went up, but employee productivity did not go up over this whole period of time. That's another inconvenient truth about how do you link productivity to your implementation of technologies. And there's cloud in there and digital transformation and a patented measure that I have called technology intensity. But the fundamental theme of the theory is let's look at technology economics. Let's look at the inconvenient truths. And in the end, and looking at all this stuff, technology itself is not a fashion statement. You're implementing it for there's a business or a social reason for doing it, and you're looking for what the value is. So please take a look at our website. We're going to be putting out the series. There are at least 8 short programs in the series. I am told I speak too long, and I've actually cut this talk right now from 20 minutes down to whatever it turned out to be. And my wife would agree with that too, because she said I could probably talk if nobody was even in a room or awake or listening. But anyway, these are going to be short clips, sort of podcasts, dealing with the inconvenient truth of technology economics. So I invite you to join us. I invite you to look at our website, techeconomists.com, and really get under the covers in terms of the technology economy and getting value from technology. Thank you very much, and I look forward to having you join me.